Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday Author Heart Wisdom panel. I'm Richert Belul, author of Say It Now, 33 Creative Ways to Say I Love You to the Most Important People in Your Life. And I'm really excited. Today we have Bridgitte Jackson Buckley. Hey, Bridgitte.
Hi.
And Sue Patton-Foley. Hi, Sue.
Hi there.
Yay! And welcome. Thank you all for being here to participate. It's so good to see all of you. And we're going to start off today before we have, hi, Francesca.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. You're here just in time.
Oh, good.
Before we officially launch in, Bridgitte has agreed to do a really short meditation to get us here and grounded and centered. Okay. Thank you, Bridgitte.
You are welcome. I'm happy to do it. Grounding and centeredness is always welcome and crucial. Okay, so why don't we start by closing our eyes and getting ourselves comfortable and relaxed. Let's start with the breath. We'll take the conscious breath in through the mouth. Hold it for a few seconds and release. Hold and release. Again. Release. And hold this time so that your body feels really tense on the in-breath. Hold and release. Now take both of your hands and just place them gently over your heart. Still sitting quietly, feeling the soft quiet around you, and bringing in love. Let yourself think, feel, remember, and know love. Feel it in your heart with the breath in and out. Love. Let the love move throughout your entire body, throughout your arms, your midsection, your legs, your feet. Let the love travel up from your heart to your face, your head, and feel it permeating your entire body. Breathing in and out. Love. Love. And let us take this feeling of love, thinking of ourselves, our loved ones, our friends, as well as those that we do not know, and come back to love. Breathing in and out. Love. With each breath in and out throughout the remainder of your day, take a moment and gently remember this feeling of love that is there for you, your loved ones, and everyone inhabiting the world with us. Love is here for all of us. And with the last breath in and the last breath out, we gently come back to each other.
Oh, thank you, Bridgitte. Wow, I'm always amazed at how just a few moments of a beautiful guided meditation like that, right? It's so lovely.
It's very relaxing.
Thank you. That was great.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you brought us to that place of love too. It was just perfect. So Bridgitte, why don't you start us off and share your book with us, and if you would just tell us a little bit about your work and then also how you're taking care of yourself this moment in time.
Okay. Well, the book is The Gift of Crisis: How I Used Meditation to Go from Financial Failure to a Life of Purpose. And as most of you know, I am a writer and author, and I really, really enjoy writing about spiritual concepts, spirituality as in the path of the heart, and that there is a bigger purpose and meaning to everything that we're experiencing throughout our lives. I read about that, of course, personal growth, change, and transformation. That encompassed my life as told throughout the memoir, all of the difficulties and challenges that we faced with our financial crisis, and the role that a spiritual practice, a grounding practice, being centered and coming within and really taking steps and using tools to empower yourself to move through crisis and challenge is really the core of the book. And now, throughout this challenging time, in a previous interview, I mentioned that I didn't even plan it, but I just found myself doing the exact same practice that I did prior to writing The Gift of Crisis, and that was journaling. To just help me expressively move through just the change and all of the unexpected feelings that are coming up for me during this time. So I've been doing journaling, and I have really been paying attention to what I'm prompted to do. Like, for example, I've really felt this urge to be near water a lot. So like I said earlier, we've been going to the beach on Wednesdays when the kids finish their distance learning, and it's just very soothing. And right now you just need to do what you can to relax your nervous system, stay grounded, so that you can move forward.
Yeah, and again, you helped us to do that just when we started, right? To really relax our nervous systems. And I do love, it sounds like you're continuing to do that journaling as a practice.
Yes.
Yeah. And I do also we were talking before we actually went live that you're, taking, I think you said every Wednesday you guys all go to the beach together because their classes end early.
Yes, we'll continue that until it starts to rain, but we're in California, so it might be a while.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Bridgitte. Welcome back. And Sue, hi.
Yes.
Will you share your book with us and introduce yourself so we get to know you a little bit?
Sure. This is my latest book, and it really basically, I had retired, which was my third time, I think, and so then the election happened, and I found myself just having to do something. And at my age, that something doesn't really include now marching and doing that kind of stuff. But I just felt the need to put out there something about the feminine, because to me it seemed like the shadow masculine was just going crazy and taking over. And I wanted to really accentuate the feminine values that we all carry naturally, and men do too, although they're not really in evidence too highly in the public view right now. And so out of that came this, and the subtitle is Meditations for Wisdom, Balance, and Power. And the gist of that is, I think we naturally carry so much wisdom, the feminine does, and the world seemed to me to be totally out of balance, and that we needed to claim and act from and honor our power. And I'm not talking about, middle finger power. I'm talking about that soft, flexible, but absolutely steely strong feminine that you nod because you know it inside yourself. So that's where this book came from. Writing was a surprise to me. I was a I was a therapist, and first of all, I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and then I was a therapist, and the writing just came as sort of a surprise. Brenda was actually in on the first book, and that was entitled "The Courage to Be Yourself," and I wrote that because I didn't have it. So it's like we almost always write what we either worked really hard to get or are still working on. And so that's how my writing career came about. And I'm not a good journaler. Mostly my journals just have swear words in them. I had a little ritual that I did with a couple of friends of mine because I think I turned 70 or something, and I thought, oh my God, I really wouldn't want people to find these. So we there's a wonderful place here that recycles journals and things like that. So we had a little ritual, and the guy who was the caretaker of the recycle place, I think, was a little mystified by some of the things we were doing. But so that hasn't been a practice of mine. But what is a practice of mine is just sort of writing haiku poetry, because the thing I love about haiku, which is it's so short and so simple. It's the 5-syllable, 7-syllable, 5-syllable thing. And that helps me to be able to distill an idea or a feeling. Most of my stuff comes from feeling, just because that's kind of where I live. But so that's one of the things that I work on. I've got little Post-it notes everywhere with haiku in them. But now I can't remember where I'm supposed to be going with this.
This is awesome. And in fact, I was just going to ask you, do you feel like the writing of haiku, is that one of the ways that you've been taking care of yourself? That was the other piece of this. Mm-hmm. I'm projecting onto you, but is that?
It was what I was doing to take care of myself. But I just not long ago had emergency major surgery, in which I thought, complete with 911 and EMTs and all the rest of that stuff. After that, in the hospitalization from that and so forth, there's been a real interesting thing that's happened. In the hospital, there's so much energy just from the radiology and the Wi-Fi and all that stuff, plus so much going on with my body, that I felt like my mind retreated. And I was really just more of an experience happening. It's a very weird thing. I had little vignettes that would come to me fully blown that felt like maybe they were little peeks into past lives or current other lives, or something like that. So what I've noticed is in this time, because I'm recovering and I'm recovering well, but I've noticed that my mind has quieted. And it wasn't anything that I said, I'm going to quiet my mind now, because gosh, I've been trying to do that for decades. So it just happened. And I was talking to a friend yesterday, safely on the back deck, and I said, the thing that I've noticed is that my mind is quieter. And she said, oh my God, I wish I could do that, And I wouldn't want to go through what I went through just to get there again, but I'm really happy that that's where I am. I was listening to a little bit of the news today, and I could hear running through my mind, not my circus, not my monkeys. And for me, right now, in this recovery time, what I'm doing to up my resilience quotient, I think, is doing less. And that's necessary because of energy, but also the trust issue is huge. I'm 80 years old, which kind of shocks me, but I'm happy to be there. And I thought I might not get any farther, for a little while. Because of all those years and the experiences that Bridgette's written so beautifully about, I trust resilience in myself.
Wow, Sue, that was a lot of beautiful stuff there. And first of all, I'm so glad you're recovering. You look amazing.
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody in the world would know that you're recovering from anything because you look so vibrant. And
Well, thank you.
I'm grateful you're here. And I'm also like, I love what you said about the quieting of your mind and how, right, most of us spend decades and, you know, meditation, journaling, nature, whatever. And I love that happened to be a byproduct of something, you know, for you.
And who knows whether it'll continue. You know, if one of my kids gets into difficulty or something like that, who knows? But right now, it's given me the awareness that it's possible.
Yeah. Wow. And I also want to underscore what you said about doing less. And you connected it to resilience. And our topic today is, you know, finding strength and resilience during these times. And I think you've started us off right on that topic now with it, that's one breadcrumb for us, you know, of possibility.
I don't have kids right now. I'm not trying to homeschool. I'm not trying to figure out how to do that. I'm not trying to figure out how to keep the kids occupied. And so for me, you know, this is my generation has it pretty easy in the COVID thing. The younger people, I've got grandchildren who are in college, and that's tough. I mean, you know, and my neighbors have kids who are at home learning. So I have I've earned, I guess, the luxury of not having to deal. I've got all those balls in the air that so many people have now.
Mm. Well, and that'll take us right back to Bridget, because Bridget, you do have children at home doing at-home learning, right?
I do.
Yeah. So we can just ping pong back and forth and talk about resilience a little bit. What is resilience looking like for you right now with your kids at home and your work?
Well, Sue shared so many jewels, and what she just said, I should have brought a pen because I was just thinking bullet points. But one of the things that you said, Sue, I cannot agree more. Is I think you phrased it, "Not my circus, not my monkeys." Oh my goodness, I am on board with that 101%, because there's so much going on. I mean, and it's so easy to just slide into like the chaotic news stories and the stories of difficulties that just seem to permeate every aspect of society. And for a little bit, I was paying attention, because we operate under the guise of I want to be an informed citizen. And sometimes we tend to think that translates into watching every headline, when what I started to pay attention to was sometimes after watching certain news segments, just how exhausted I felt. Literally, like I had ran a marathon. Like I cannot continue to do this. So I just started engaging a little bit less with the news and just simply checking in with the headlines on some of the news sites that I follow, and just simply leaving it at that, because it just didn't really feel like I was getting the benefit out of it that I thought that I wanted. So I've had to kind of just move that away. And then just coming through this experience of dealing with this pandemic, having children at home, it is a lot to juggle, because they have to navigate technology. And then I have a younger one, so I have to follow with him and make sure that everything is turned in on time, and just making sure that while they physically look okay, that they are mentally and emotionally okay with this. So hence the beach days, or sometimes relaxing some of the normal requirements, but at the same time, really staying on top of just how much they're engaged with technology. So and not to mention dinner. Oh my goodness, that whole situation of what are we going to eat for dinner is just like a monkey on my back. But anyways, so there's that. So just keeping all of that, just juggling all of that. I do come back to my meditation practice, of course. I've tried to include other practices that involve being outside more, being in nature more, you know, walking, taking photography of some of the beautiful flowers that I noticed on my walk, taking a bike ride, which I haven't done in decades, you know, with the kids. My son, my 13-year-old likes to bike ride, and, you know, it's PE. And also just carving time out to just read books that I normally would not read, and just explore other genres. Like I have found, like, there's so many books that I want to read. If I could just inject them intravenously, I'd just be perfect. But it's like I cannot read them fast enough. So there's a lot going on, but at the center of it, I know that I'm holding balls for myself and for my family. So it is imperative that I, you know, stay engaged with my spirituality and my grounding practice, which is an absolute priority for me.
Wow. Wow, I love that. And I took a page from what you said and I started making bullet points. So we'll have ourselves a lovely list. Already I've got like 10 things that you guys both have said. So thank you. I love that. I love that. And maybe we should back up for a minute, because I realize, what does resilience even mean? You know, so what does resilience mean to you? We'll have both of you answer.
I think it means, you know, recognizing, acknowledging that we are all going to experience challenging time. It's just an inevitable part of being a human being alive on the planet. But the idea is to not let the challenge hijack your soul and your mind, but to extract the gift from it if you can, you know, when you can do that. You know, feel the feelings of it, not gloss over them. Feel the feelings, you know, explore what you're feeling, why you're feeling, and then move through it. That the idea is to move through it, not to try to go around it and jump over it, because it will just resurface again. So feel it, and then practice some form of acceptance of where you are. You know, that helps to move you out of the victim mentality that something is happening to me. You want to control what you can control and let go of what you can't. And as you do those things and recognize that you move through one adversity, one challenge, so then when the next one arrives, not that it'll be easy or a cakewalk, but you now have practices and tools to say, I made it through that. You know, I experienced some forms of grace, and I will make it through this. Because we experienced such a difficult time throughout that financial crisis. Now that we're dealing with this, when the shelter in place started, I thought I would just roll into it like, oh, I'm home all the time, no problem. But even I experienced lots of unexpected feelings and responses as a, you know, part of the energy on the planet, changing on the planet, seeing so many of the social systems disintegrate before our eyes around me. There's a lot coming up for a lot of people. But because I've experienced such adversity, I'm not shocked and, you know, in extreme fear with this experience. I know that there's something here for all of us, even though it may not look like it right now, and that it is temporary, even though it may not feel like it right now, you know, and that we will come out on the other side of it, continuing to move forward, not going back, but in new expressions of ourselves and of our world. And so I think that all of that encompasses resilience.
Wow, Bridgitte, that was beautiful. And I really appreciate that you invite people always, first and foremost, to feel those feelings. You know, and your practices and the stories in your book, you know, that you point people to, like what you said, to moving through it, not, you know, pushing it away so that it's going to crop up again. And I'm just wondering, Sue, do you have your own definition of resilience or anything you want to add to that?
Well, I think you pretty well covered it, Bridgitte, but I guess the awareness that of bouncing back. I'm thinking of a rubber band. A rubber band that's new will pull that back. A rubber band that's old and rotten will go snap. And so we all have within us, I think, a perpetual rubber band. And maybe one experience will rot a little piece of it, but mostly I believe I have seen, you know, as a therapist, as a person who's been alive for a long time, I've just seen that, especially when we trust it, like, Bridgitte, you have every reason in the world to trust your resilience. And all of us do, really, no matter what our age or circumstance. We've all been through something that's tested our stretch and our bounce back ability. Do you guys remember the old movie that featured flubber, which was that stuff that the guy put on his baseball and it jumped over? Well, I think we all have a flubber quotient, and many of us really do bounce higher after adversity. I'm hoping that this is true for our country. I'm hoping that this results in more justice and humanitarianism and compassion. I'll tell you, one of the wonderful things about being hospitalized, for me anyway, is I was pretty caught in the chaos. And being hospitalized for a week was like being encased in this bubble of compassion. Now, there were icky things about it, but one of the things that really, really helped me so much, I was pretty pissed off at men, to tell you the truth. And so my very first nurse was a guy, and he was a tattooed guy from his, you know, all over the place. And but his tattoos on his wrists were love and hope. And I got to know him pretty well because he was my nurse for a couple of days. And he was the sweetest young man. And he had 3 daughters who were just adorable. His wife was a tattoo artist. And in a situation like that, you don't have a lot of dignity, you know. But I always felt comfortable with him. And then when I went up to the regular wards, or whatever they're called, then I had a night nurse, a CNA, who was Wesley Brown night nurse is what I called him. And he too was the sweetest. I came away from there, and my surgeon was sweet. I mean, he was potluck and I lucked out, but those 3 men really renewed my my belief that there is a compassionate masculine energy, and that without them I would have been in deep trouble. So it was to be encapsulated in that compassion for a week. Really helped me. It helped me come into balance, because I was pretty out of balance with how angry I was, and discouraged and disheartened.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sue, I'm still struck by, and I had to write it down. You started by saying one of the best things about being hospitalized, like it spoke exactly what Bridgitte had said, right? About finding the gifts. And I feel like that's exactly where you went to, this beautiful place of a bubble of compassion, you know, that you could allow this experience to become something that nurtured you in the way that you spoke of. Is so beautiful. And I love those people who helped you. I love all of them.
This was like a petri dish, but it was a petri dish of caring. Everybody's goal was to help somebody. Outside, that's not what's going on. But in that little microcosm, my faith was renewed.
That's just so nice to hear. It makes me think about resilience, in that, yes, you are cultivating resilience for yourself, but also when you do it for yourself, you're doing it for other people. because in a hospital setting, you're vulnerable. You're in a position where you are on the receiving end. People are caring for you. And sometimes as we move about through our daily lives, we are not receiving as well as we could. You know, if there's a lot of stoicism and I can just take care of it by myself and I don't need this, but sometimes it is helpful to just to choose where you're going to put your attention, to choose how you're going to let love come in with your daily interactions with people. It could be a smile, it could be a laugh over a conversation. We do have a choice. Like, for example, yesterday I had to go to AAA for something. Standing in line, the person in front of me was complaining a lot about he didn't like the setup of the social distances. It was dumb and didn't make sense to him. And, you know, I just stood quietly and, you know, maybe at another time I would have been like, oh, I know, like, why didn't they do it this way and that way? I'm sure they have their reasons for setting it up the way they did, but I didn't judge him. He just is where he is. He wants to say where he wants to say. That's his experience. But I just stood and remained where I was. And then when I went inside, the representative that helped me, she said something that was so funny. And we just had like the biggest laugh at like 3 p.m. And after I finished my transaction, I told her, thank you so much for that much needed laugh. And she was like, you know what, you're welcome. I enjoyed it too. But just exchanges like that contribute to the world. And a lot of the times when we're talking, there's this idea that, or people will speak in a way like the world is a terrible place. The world is this and the world is that, but the world is every small decision that we make in our personal lives and the people that we show up as when we step out of our homes, or whether we're a nurse in the hospital caring for someone. We are the world with the decisions, with the presence, with the energy that we bring to all of the situations. And we can bring compassion and equanimity and humanity for each other.
Well, this seems like a good time to ask if anybody who's here wants to jump into this beautiful conversation. Rachel, I thought you might have something to say about all this love.
I do. I love it. I love it.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
Oh, this just speaks to my heart. I have to record a pre-recorded video for a conference that I'm doing. And I'm like speaking on this like topic of perspective. And so this just resonates so much with what I'm doing. And you know, one of the examples I was using was, you know, I was in a very emotionally abusive relationship. And I remember one day getting screamed at and like feeling that emptiness and like feeling that empty vessel type feeling that I was just a shell. And I remember feeling this whisper of, right when I was getting yelled at, look up the definition of love. And I did it while he was still yelling at me. And I looked it up. And in that moment, I saw the Corinthians, you know, love is patient, love is kind. And I never thought of that as the definition before. So it's like my perspective was so skewed because my perspective said love was painful, love hurts, love, you know what I mean? And so I didn't realize how much, because that's what I believed, I drew that into my reality and created it. And so it's like with what you're saying, it's like wherever we put our focus, you know, and our beliefs they come back to us. And it just made me realize how powerful our beliefs are of what we put out. You know, if we're looking for the negative, if we're only seeing the negative in the world, that's what we see. And so when we can find the beliefs within us that connect us to the love, to the abundance, to the peace, to the compassion, to the kindness, we attract and see more of it because that's where our vision is. That's the straw hole we're looking through, you know, because we can't see everything. So we either have to focus on the fear, lack, and separation or the love, abundance, and peace. You know, it only goes one way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I just love everything that you both were saying about your experiences, because it just ties in so much to what I'm doing and how I'm really focusing on working on every day, making sure I am responsible and accountable for the energy I'm contributing out. It's not about what anybody else is doing. It's what am I giving to the world? So I can't control anything else. So if I want to change the world, it's making sure my energy is aligned to do it. So, sorry, got so excited.
Oh, sorry, that was wonderful. I was just curious, Liz Marie, were you raising your hand? Oh, okay. Rachel, never be sorry. Francesca, I see that you're unmuted. Did you want to join in?
I'm unmuted, am I? Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe you didn't know it, but you wanted to join in.
I didn't know that. I'll just, what I'll add or contribute to this amazing conversation is, as we're talking about resilience, it just makes me think of, as people, we're always sort of expanding and contracting, like the rubber band, I believe, as Sue was speaking about. And so for me, that resilience is recovery, but it's recovery from, in the work that I've been doing and in my own discoveries, it's recovery from soul loss. We're so depleted, as we're multidimensional beings. We're so depleted on every level, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, that what's happening today, from my point of view or my perspective, is we're healing. We're in this healing process, and it's hard and it's difficult and it's uncomfortable, and it requires change, massive change, to our thinking. Let's think positively, to our attitudes, to our focus. All of you here are these amazing writers. I prefer vlogging even as opposed to blogging. But the focus for me that helps me in the healing process, and that I do take out into the community and share with others, is that I'm a clinical musician. So therapeutic harp music is something for me to come home to and be at one and at peace when I'm playing for myself or in the community, and sharing that music with people in hospice and palliative care. In the time that we were able to do it, I'm not doing that at this moment in time. That's all a part of the healing process, and choosing that road to recovery, to not just indulge myself, but to help others as well. So when we're talking about that strength and that resilience, it starts with really letting go of a lot of the cruddy stuff that's around us. And again, it just brings us back to healing on every level. And for me, it always comes back to the essence of all of this. It comes back to love, simply love, one word.
Ah, wow, you did have something very important to share. Good thing you were unmuted.
Now, let me just mute myself now.
Oh, that was so lovely. And I really appreciate, there's so many things about what you said, but I'm just going to focus for a second on the music. Mm-hmm. Like that, how often that might get left out of people's, ideas about recovery or resilience or health. And yet, as we were talking about it, I could feel it, the importance. Thank you. Linda.
Oh, resilience.
Thank you both so much for this conversation. There was a couple of things. The idea of resilience, I sometimes will write things that seem very, very random at the time, and then later on they become important to me. And a long time ago, I wrote something about the sine wave. Like, I know anything about sine waves, right? But recently, my friend who I share all of my writing with, it came back up for both of us. We were thinking about it, so I went back and reread it. And it was all about, and now I can see that it's about resilience too, because it was all about being aware of whether you're on the crest or the trough. And that the trough is a time of gathering your energy, gathering your strength to get back up to the crest. And when you're at the crest, it was so important to look ahead from there, to see what you could see from the crest, and to take that with you into the next trough. And so that seems very relevant to me today in terms of resilience, that while you're gathering your strength in the trough, that you need to that's part of the resilience process, the gathering your strength so you can rise back up again. So that was very interesting to me. And the idea of, love is something, actually I have my love shirt on today. What would love do? Is something that's very present in my life. And I was writing just this morning about trying to think of my mask when I wear it and when I feel that warmth of my breath coming back to me as a bell of mindfulness, that mask, to remind me to be present and to think of the ripples that I'm sending out. And I was thinking of them as ripples of love. So with every exhale, sending out those ripples of love, and letting my mask remind me of that every day when I have to wear it. So yeah, this is a very timely topic for me. So thank you very much.
Linda, thank you for putting that in my head about the mask.
Yes.
It's
Very nice.
that's beautiful. And what I love also is that right now breathing can seem so toxic, right? Everyone's afraid of, but it's like what you're doing is turning it into that beautiful love, and it's so beautiful. And were you saying sign, S-I-N-E? Is that so sign?
Yeah, a sine
been a
wave,
long
as
time.
in a mathematical. Yes, it's been a long time for me too.
Right, I was like trying to go back to those trigonometry days or whatever, but thank you for that. That was beautiful.
Sure.
Again, I love the synchronicity that often happens on these panels, right? Hey, Brenda, were you jumping in? I think I heard your voice before Linda.
Sure. I mean, I can speak to resilience. I think that part of it is just staying in the present moment, and then also knowing that there's a oneness. Like, I've had a couple of friends that, even before the pandemic hit, like San Francisco or Bay Area was too expensive for them, and they moved away to a more affordable place where they could buy a house and things like that. So people have left, but like they're still here, so I just sort of think like, okay, connect. So connecting, and I guess that's connecting to that shared love is the resilience.
Oh, I love that. Connecting to the shared love.
Mm-hmm. It's funny that resilience was the topic, but love is taking over.
Yay!
Yay.
That's such a good point. I think if we looked back on all of our Heart Wisdom panels,
Nice.
we might find a theme about that. Love does seem to take over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyone else want to jump into the conversation? Nita, I thought so. I could see you thinking.
Oh yeah, I'm always thinking it. Yeah. So I've really appreciated everybody's really genuine sharing. Sue brought me to tears. I read Bridgette's book, brought me to tears. I haven't picked up Sue's books yet, but her conversation brought me to tears. And I was in a different session earlier today where we were practicing. I was with my Buddhist teacher and we were practicing metta. And we took it another turn, because usually the metta phrases are, may you be well, may you be happy, or may I be well. And someone said, let's say, may we be well. And she was talking about she was actually going to a park randomly, not realizing she was going to have this experience, but she wound up at the other side of this very large park. There was a rally by the political party that she doesn't belong to, let's just say. It's very triggering for her. And it just came to her to try to stay with that non-duality. And so she was already going to practice metta, because that's kind of the assignment right now in this training I'm taking. We're reading all these books and studying some things. And so it just came to her to say, may we be happy, may we be free from suffering, may we, be free from delusion, may we, and so that it's not that us, them, us, them, us, them. And that's the thing I think that really touched me about when Sue was talking too. When my husband was hospitalized earlier this year, I have to say that the male nurses surprised the heck out of us. It just did, because the very first one, I could sort of see both of us kind of like, oh dear, we were sort of expecting these kind, you know, motherly sort of nurturing, and this guy was the most nurturing, amazing. So our assumptions and the categories we put people in and all that kind of stuff is just being blown. So I wanted to share that we thing with you because that just was really powerful for me today. And thanks, Bridgitte, for leading us off with some, you know, very grounding meditation. And I love the image of you of your kids at the beach. I like that. So thanks always for letting me play along here.
Hey, Nita, before you go,
Yes.
I just popped in, not to put you on the spot, but who's going to do a little meditation at the end, and Bridgitte started us off. Do you want to do just a 10, 20, 30 seconds of the meditation with us?
Right now, like right this instance?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So
it just dropped in.
Yeah, that seems to be my thing right now, is being asked to just jump. So I can jump. Yeah. So I always say, put your feet on the ground, you know, make sure your feet are on the ground. And then if you're sitting in a chair, feel your butt in the chair. And you can close your eyes if you like, or you can keep them open, or you know, just kind of have a soft gaze. And then start with the feeling wherever you naturally feel the breath. It might be the nose, it might be your abdomen, it might be in your heart region. And when you feel that breath, take that to your heart. Very similar to what Bridgitte did. Just take that sensation to your heart. And then we'll just go with what's the easiest thing. What is the person or other being? Could be a tree, plant, could be your dog. A person with which you have the least complicated relationship, the easiest person. Might not be your spouse, might not be your kid. And say to them in your mind, may you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you find joy and safety. May no harm come to you. May you be free from suffering. May you be released from all delusions. Just let that radiate through your body. And then when you're ready, just come back to us. Thank you for asking.
Thank you for jumping right in, Nita. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Sue, Bridgitte, are you guys having anything else drop in that you want to pop into our conversation?
This was just such a wonderful conversation. So many wonderful points. I mean, just so many wonderful points. Nita, that the May You Be Well, I have that posted on the top of my Facebook page. That seems so appropriate at the beginning of the shelter in place for California back in March, was it? And it still is so appropriate. And Rachel's point about putting your attention on, deciding where you're going to put your attention is so important right now. It goes in tandem with what Linda said about the crest and going back up. And we've gone, and the healing that Francesca points out, we've gone through this period of grief and trying to heal ourselves and understanding that the I is the we, and that it is so important for us to move into a place where we can really put our attention on what it is that we want to create. What is the world that we want to be a part of? What is it that we want to see? And if we are wanting honesty and authenticity and compassion and love from the people we see on TV and from people that we encounter at the drugstore, at the AAA center, we really have to embody that, because the outer is simply a reflection of the inner. And while we may think that there is a gap or a distance between the us and them, there isn't. It is a mirrored image reflection. So there's just so much that we're doing right now, but I am grateful, even though sometimes it feels a little difficult and daunting. I'm grateful to know that I can take the healing, Francesca, that I've had from my experiences and share it, not by preaching of what you should do or I have found the way, but just simply being an authentic expression of Bridgitte, just showing up as love as best as I can.
Mm.
This was a wonderful conversation, so thank you.
And Sue, I'm going to go to you, but I want to have a little bridge right now because right when you were saying that, Bridgitte, I was just thinking that both you and Sue, and actually everyone who's here, there's a being of love that's been happening that I've really so much appreciated. I feel like a receiving of simply that energy, even though we're on Zoom, you know, and people's beautiful voices bringing such gentleness and love, each person who shared. So thank you for being that love. And you too, Sue. And I'd love to hear any closing thoughts you have, and then we'll move into your meditation.
My soapbox really is self-love, because I think that there's many of us have gaps and Swiss cheese ability to really love ourselves no matter what. And I've seen a lot of that self-love in your the expressions that you shared today, and the training that you're going through, Nita, and Francesca, the healing you were talking about. And I love the trough thing. I love that. That's where we need, when we're in the trough, that's where we really need self-love. And not poor me self-love, but just, this is where you are. I love you no matter what. This won't be where you are tomorrow, because one of my favorite philosophies that Buddhism had taught me was impermanence. And we can handle things as long as we don't think we're stuck there. And that this too shall pass. So for me, the idea of love springs from my ability to fill myself with it and then let it overflow. So that's basically my soapbox and my learning, my lifelong learning. Yeah.
Thank you. So beautiful. I think before we have your meditation, I'm going to read the list that I made that was inspired by Bridgitte saying that we need a bullet point list. So I'm just gonna read the phrases I wrote down while each of you was speaking. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Doing less, engaging less in the news, beach days as a family, meditation, walking, biking outside, photography outside, reading books I love, trusting the resilience, feeling our feelings, letting them move through, the flubber quotient. Everyone's goal is to help someone. Resilience helps ourselves and helps others. The importance of self-care, the importance of receiving care, choosing where you put your attention, letting love in, sharing laughter, seeing the world as every small interaction, perspective, recovering from soul loss, heart music, gathering strength and then perspective, present moment oneness, connecting, meditation, may we be well, no separation, I equals we. When we're in the trough, gather strength. This too shall pass. So, and I know I didn't even capture all of it, but there was some amazing heart wisdom today. And so Sue has agreed to end our beautiful time together with a meditation. And then I think after she does that, if anyone else wants to share anything, we'll go ahead and open it up at that point.
Okay. Okay. As Bridgitte did, I'd like you to, if you feel comfortable with it, close your eyes and just for a minute, focus on your breath without trying to change it, just noticing, being present to it. and knowing that your breath is your ally. It is your first act as a human being. It is your last as a human being. Knowing that all of your life, your breath is your friend. Imagine it moving down your body and extending from the end of your spine into what we call a grounding cord. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It's about as wide as your hips, and anything that comes to you. Sometimes people have trees or monkey tails. It doesn't matter. Just what you want is a grounding cord coming down from the very end of your spine, moving gently but completely through the earth to the center of Mother Earth. And then in whatever way your brain kicks out, anchor that grounding cord at the center of our Mother Earth. And what this is your anchor here, because we are human. We are having human experiences, as well as knowing that we are spiritual and having those. But we need some help to stay grounded in the earth and in that solidness. And then imagine that you are flowing anything you need to let go of. Allow that to gently flow down your grounding cord into the transformational center of Mother Earth. And then, because reciprocity is what is, know that Mother Earth then sends up through your grounding cord incredible energy, groundedness, self-love. Whatever you need can be brought up from the Mother into you. And as you do that, imagine that her energy fills you in your body and then out into your aura, and that energy becomes a cocoon of safety, a bubble of spiritual protection. Always you can send forth from it what you want to send forth. But if you ask, and I am going to do that myself, that you can ask that only that which is from the mind of the divine can come through your protective bubble. And then, in whatever way feels right to you, be thankful and move out knowing that you are connected to the center of our beautiful Mother Earth, and that you are surrounded by perfection, protection, maybe perfection, but protection for sure. And I think knowing that, trusting that, will help with resilience. And so it is.
Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
Before we close out, did anybody want to say anything?
Just wanted to say thank you to everybody for your time, for sharing your time and your wisdom with all of us here today. And Bridgitte, it was wonderful to meet you online for the first time today. So I look forward to a follow-up conversation and just being a part of this. It feels natural and it feels very beautiful. So thank you.
And thank you for being here and sharing with us. It's nice to meet you.
I just wanted to say thank you. This is exactly what I needed. And I love that that is the synchronicity of this world, you know, is when our energies align with what we need, it presents its helpers. It presents the people that will help ignite that and make it stronger. And I love that I have this wisdom panel to come to every Wednesday. That it brings that in, and it always offers me something different and beautiful every time. And the love today, it just sang to my heart. So thank you.
And thank you, Rachel, for bringing the love you always bring.
This is fun. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
It was very nice. I really like that meditation, Sue. It's similar to some things I do privately. I mean, although I am one of the authors, I get just as much out of these.
Yeah.
I love these conversations. I just love them so much. I walk away feeling so replenished, as Rachel says. So thank you. Thank you all.
What a beautiful, beautiful group of people. And I too, thank you so much for our authors, Sue and Bridgitte, and for Debbie and Brenda, who were here from Mango, and from all of our participants and other Mango authors. We are here every Wednesday. Come back, because it really, you make a difference. Each beautiful face that we get to see, and your beautiful voices and the love you bring, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And I feel more bouncy. I was thinking, I feel like I got more bounce in my rubber band. So thank you all.
Thank you.
May we be, Nita, is it maybe
Thank
we
you
well?
all.
You can choose whatever phrases, and I realized after I did it that I didn't use the we, but yes, it's usually happy, healthy, safe, free from suffering, and free from delusion. Those are like the 5 standard, but whatever you choose.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.